Hey everybody, it's Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Wednesday, Christmas Eve, 23rd of December, 8 p.m. It's your weekly talk show, In Touch with the Miller Boys. We discuss all things impacting the African American community in the city of Fresno and the surrounding area. So right now you got me. I'll be going over a couple things, and then hopefully my brother will be joining me here shortly. But as we talked about last week, about the COVID epidemic that we've got going on, for those of you who are not aware, please know that those of you who are in Fresno County, we live in one of the hot spots in all of the United States. We have a growing number of cases, and what that means is that we have a large number of people who are being diagnosed, being COVID positive or being exposed to COVID. And depending upon how your body responds to it, it could be a matter of that you have simple flu symptoms, body aches, sore throat, those type of things. And in the severe situations, it could wind up being death. It could complicate some of your the ailments that you have and end in death. And so some people want to play the virus down. Some people understand the seriousness of it. As we shared, Gerald and I shared a couple weeks ago, our mother, the pretty face that's behind me there, we lost her to pneumonia caused by COVID. And so she was a diabetic. She was had lung disease, deteriorating lungs. And so in her particular case, it was fatal for her. She got diagnosed on a Friday and passed on a Tuesday. And so COVID is real. And so for those of you who want to downplay it, please understand that even though you might have a mild case of it, a mild flu-like case of it, you may be distributing that, maybe carrying it on to those in your family, those loved ones you have, whose bodies cannot handle it, and it be severe, it'll be deadly to them. So be aware of that. Here in Fresno County, there is ongoing COVID testing. The one that I know about that is probably the most consistent right now is a collaboration between the city of Fresno and the county of Fresno. It's at the Fresno Fairgrounds, the Chan Street parking lot. You drive in, they'll get some information from you at the start. You got to weave around, don't even have to get out of your car. They swab you. I believe they're giving two tests. There's a rapid test, and then there's another test that takes 72 hours for you to get the results back. It's one of those things that they'll email you or text you the results. And they said if they do not contact you by phone, then your results are negative. And so it's a serious deal. I've got family members that are family members and friends that are, hey, are you okay? We were doing this, doing that, and I got a positive results back. And so something to play with right now. And Fresno County or the Central Valley, basically the San Joaquin Valley as well as Los Angeles Basin. If you look at any of the national statistics having to do with COVID, is red hot on fire right now. The vaccinations are out. People are they're getting vaccine shots. Whether you want to take one, whether you don't want to take one, that's your personal choice. But the vaccinations are available. I was reading some information. I was told some information earlier that I hope is not true. That there's an issue with some of the vaccinations that were distributed here in Fresno County that may not be able to be used. I'm still looking to find some information to validate that information, but I hope that's not right. Because Fresno County, we got our city council people here, a couple city council people who want to do a 5-day shutdown here during the holiday season, and there's tremendous amount of pushback by some of the other more conservative city council people. I'm not sure how you can have that stance when you have got a responsibility of getting the vaccination here in the area and you can't. You're letting it go to rot or letting it spoil. So anyway, that's what's going on with COVID. So please be, do all your precautions, your distancing, wearing your mask, washing your hands, hand sanitizer when you can't get to soap and water. making sure that that those people who are around you are also
Mark.
using those same precautionary steps to make and to ensure that you're protecting one another. What's up, Joe?
Oh man, I'm just trying to make, just trying to be beautiful. You know, trying to live my life to the best of my ability without so many distractions.
So I was just talking about the COVID stuff that's going on here in the county and testing and those type of things. So we got 2 more family members that let
Yeah,
me know
well,
today. What are you saying?
no, I cut you off. I'm sorry.
I just 2 more family members let me know today that they tested positive. They're doing fine. I shouldn't say they're doing fine. They're recovering, but you know, it just you know, as I was saying, you have to be overly cautious dealing with this virus because it affects people in all kind of different ways.
I agree. But you know, the action plan has been put in place, and unfortunately, everybody is going to end up, or a large majority of people are going to end up with COVID because that was Donald Trump's plan in the beginning. And we're just going to see, you know, hopefully you stay at home if you are out there dealing with that kind of stuff. And I mean, hey, you know, life is a choice, you know, and people, everybody makes choices. And so I hope you can your backside can carry the weight that you make with your choices. That's hard to say, but I hope so.
Yeah, you just made me think about something else that the TSA has reported that for the last 4 days in a row, there's been 1 million people, right at 1 million people a day that have been checked in through TSA. So that means that people are traveling for Christmas, for the holiday season, which is
Yeah,
unfortunate.
unfortunate because
As they're saying, anytime you have these types of events, we have a history of it. 4th of July, people are out on the beaches, those type of things. There's a spike after it. There was a spike after Thanksgiving. There was a spike after Labor Day. And I don't remember Memorial Day, but I do know from the summer, these events that we've had, people are going out, relaxing, putting their guards down, and then over the next 7 to 14 days, there's a spike in certain areas. You know, the whole South Dakota deal with the bikers. So we have that many people traveling. They're going to be conduits for the virus, and hopefully it's not as bad as it can be. But just as you said, choices. But in this particular case, I think that in the matter of people making these choices, they have to consider other people as well. So,
well, I mean, is that a moral uh, issue or dilemma, or is it an issue and dilemma of the law, man-made law? Because I think, you know, people with morals and morality wouldn't be out there doing those types of things, wouldn't be spreading or dragging the virus all over the place. And so I think people just don't care. They just are fed up. They've listened to the rhetoric, and they just don't care. I had somebody night before last tell me how we should call this event 2020 the what did he say? The year that the Chinese drugged everybody or something like that. And I told him, really? You gonna blame the Trump virus on China? And so people don't admit that they're doing wrong. I mean, how are you supposed to control folks who don't, you know?
your connection is
You know,
freezing.
like we said, he was idiot in chief. Okay,
Yeah, I agree. I agree that
yeah, idiot in chief.
yeah, that a lot of people are unfortunately following um, our so-called leader, and he said our idiot in chief. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that are following them. I mean, I have no problem with respecting the office, but when the person inside the office is not doing what they're supposed to do for the good of the people who have put them in that position, I think that something else needs to be done. Unfortunately, we're not quite there.
How do you respect the office when the person in the office is full of shit?
Because
And that's the question. I mean,
there's been 45 other people who, and some of them have been full of shit too, but they have not been full of shit to the detriment of America. Trump by far is going to go down in the history books as the worst president for the American people ever known to man. And what I hope is that his actions, he's held accountable for his actions. But although when you look at what he's doing with these pardons, this last round of pardons he put out yesterday, it just tells you that he don't give a shit about law and order. He don't give a shit about right and wrong. All he gives a shit about is his self, his person. And so I hope.
Okay, so now because he's in there, and this is the way he's conducting himself, how do you separate him from the presidency? How do you when people say that to me, I can't understand that concept.
By holding his
I can't
ass
understand that concept where you
holding his ass accountable. By holding his ass accountable, and
but he's the president.
Yeah, currently he's not going to always be the president. And when he gets from behind the shield, behind the protection of being our elected leader, 19 days, whatever hell it is, 29 days, whatever it is, then you hold his ass accountable. The American people holds his ass accountable. The American legal system holds his ass accountable, and allows people and shows people that what Donald Trump did in his office as president is not was not acceptable. It's not it's not the way we expect, nor are we going to allow our elected presidents to act. And does that change?
But while he's in there, he gets to rip and run and do whatever he wants to do.
Unfortunately, yeah.
I don't agree with that.
I agree with you. I don't agree with that either. But unfortunately, our system and structure is set up that way. And here we have an opportunity to not change how a president acts while in office, but we can put some things in place to say, if you act this way in office, then there's going to be a judgment waiting for your ass when you're in office, whether it be at the end of 4 years or the end of 8 years. When you're no longer president, you're gonna have some things that you're gonna have to answer for. But yeah, while they're in office, there's our system protects the president and the person who's in that position to the 18th percentile. So I mean, they I hesitate to say that the elected president is above the law, but he's the closest person to it.
That's what he just showed everybody, that he's above the law.
Mm-hmm. And since you can't do anything to him while he's in office, I don't agree with that, but I understand it. But once he gets out of office, when that protection is gone, then what happens?
Everybody forgets. Half of the country voted for him to remain in the position that he is, in the abusive position that he is. And the mindset of us as a people dictates and states that nothing's going to happen to him. You know, half the country is just fine with him being there doing what he was doing. How do you hold him accountable? I mean, they already tried once.
He got impeached.
But he didn't get removed.
He didn't get removed, but he did not get removed because of what you're saying right now. Those blind allegiances and protections of the sitting president.
Right. So that's why his behavior is still so grotesque.
Agreed. I agree with you. I wholeheartedly agree with you. There is nothing we can do to him, basically, except for keep a tally of the shit he's doing, and then on January 20th, at 12:01 p.m., when he is no longer protected by the position of president, then you hold his ass accountable. And so time will tell. And I think time will tell. Time is going to be, history is going to be very, very, very vicious on us as American society if we do not hold him accountable. So, the whole thing about it is, I think one of the other things that comes up, because it hasn't, you said that, as you said, half of the people, just under half of the people who voted in this election voted for him. And given what I'm hearing and the conversations I'm hearing from conservatives and people who are in the Republican Party and stuff, I just don't understand that. And so I really believe that at some point in time it's going to come out that he cheated, that the election truly was a fraud and that it was a fake and his benefit, but he didn't ultimately win because he didn't cheat well enough, or that our system was able to withstand the cheating that he did. There's only one case right now of voter fraud in this whole 2020 election. You heard about that, right? Dude in Philadelphia, outside of Philadelphia. I forget the guy's name. Republican outside of Philadelphia, registered for, he signed in for absentee ballots for his dead mother and his dead mother-in-law. Received those ballots, submitted the one back for his dead mother, not for his mother-in-law, and got caught. And he's facing, I think it's a 10-year sentence, if I'm not mistaken. If I heard it correctly, I think it's a 10-year sentence that he's facing. But he's the only one right now that's gotten caught red-handed for fraud. So I think there's going to be a lot more incidents of that. I wouldn't be surprised if there's 3, 4, 5 million people who didn't commit some type of fraud in that fashion to benefit Trump, and it wasn't enough to overcome the popular vote. So we'll see. My Democratic Party's got a lot of work to do. I think that they're up to the task, but we'll see. So did you see the announcement yesterday that Newsom appointed Alex Padilla to replace Kamala Harris on the Senate, and Dr. Shirley Weber, who is an assemblywoman out of San Diego, is now going to be the Secretary of State?
Yeah, I just heard that. I don't know anything about her, but I just heard that.
She is the person who put the her last big deal. She's big in education, so she's the person who fought for the CSU system. You cannot, as of I think it's 2024, you cannot get a degree. 2024, 2025, you cannot get a degree from a CSU college if you do not take an ethnic studies, women's studies, LGBT studies, some type of
diversity studies.
Unless you take an ethnic studies class of some sort. And so she was a big proponent of that. She got that signed into law with the governor's help. And so she's now going to be the Secretary of State. So she's going to be the number one person dealing with California's elections. So there's a lot of African-American people, in particular Black women in California, who are upset because they wanted to keep a Black woman, Black female in that role. And so Diane Watson and not Diane Watson, I'm sorry, wrong name. Karen Bass and I can't think of the other lady's name. I can see her face, but I can't think of her name. Those are the two people that, two African-American females that African-American organizations in California was pushing for. But Newsom, I think he did a brilliant thing. He got two first. I can't think of the other lady's name. I can see her face, but I can't think of her name. Those are he's now appointed the first Latino to serve as a California senator, and he's now appointed the first African American to serve as the Secretary of State. So he pulled a twofer, and so it'll be interesting to see what happens, what the results are going to be in the Democratic Party, especially in our ethnic ethnic factions, our ethnic areas of the Democratic Party moving forward. See how this winds up working out. Yeah, but Shirley Weber, she's a heavy duty lady as far as education is concerned.
Webb?
What's that?
Is that her name? Her name is Webb?
Weber. Shirley Weber, Dr. Shirley Weber from San Diego. She's the assembly person for the 79th Assembly District in California. I know her because she's a BAPAC member.
What's the BAPAC? For the people who don't know.
Black American Political Association of California. It's a statewide organization. I serve as the Fresno chapter chair. So I've been able to dialogue and interact with her at our state conventions and in some other capacities that she's been there. So she's a heavyweight. Like I said, she's got an EDD. She was a college professor, I believe, at San Diego State before she got into the assembly. Served on school boards down there in the San Diego area. So she's big time in education. So it'd be interesting to see what goes on, because this is only so Alex Padilla will have to run for his position in 4 years, I believe it is, maybe 2 years, and then Dr. Weber will have to run for her seat in 2022. So hers is a two-year appointment.
She said she's the head, the top cop now.
Not a top cop. She's in charge.
No, she's the. I'm sorry. No, yeah.
No, she's not the.
So, go ahead.
I don't know who the attorney general is going to be for the state, because Becerra's leaving. He's going to become part of Biden's cabinet. I don't know who got appointed to that. I don't know if there's an appointment been made for that. But Alex Padilla, our Secretary of State, will now be California Senator, taking Kamala Harris's position for either the next 2 years or 4 years, however long her term is. And then Shirley Weber, Dr. Shirley Weber, got appointed to be the Secretary of State. So she's in charge of elections. So she's in charge of every county's elections and how you're doing things, campaigns, finance. She's in charge of that. She's in charge of making sure that people. So like when they put when you go renew your license, you can register to vote there. Those are the types of things that the Secretary of State puts in place. So they're not the top cop, but they're the top election official in the state.
Hmm. Okay.
So I just think it's interesting. It was a clever move on our governor's part, because he didn't have just one first. He has two firsts now that he can put his hat on, because he'll be up for re-election in 2022. And there's a recall effort right now going on.
See it every day. People hate him.
Yeah, they do. There's a faction that really.
I'm gonna say the other side, the 50% that voted for Donald Trump. Oh, they hate him. Mm-hmm. They believe he's killing the economy for California.
Yeah, but so do we kill the economy, or do we kill people? I think that's the conversation I would love to have with some of my conservative friends.
And they would say that by killing the economy, you are actually crippling and killing people, because they have livelihoods at stake, and they would like to continue to be blessed by working for what they're achieving and receiving. I
got you. So then I would have the conversation. I would switch the conversation to, I agree with you that killing the economy is going to hurt people. But even in what you would see, the other side would see as a lively economy, there were people that were being hurt by that. Everybody wasn't benefiting from the economy that we had before. And so whether it's by your terms of killing the economy, or whether it's by the other terms of having a vibrant economy, people are still dying. So if it's that important, then let's find a way to deal with all of our citizens here in California, not just those that that are similar to you and your conservative ideologies. So yeah, the good thing about California is the stuff that we see here in the valley is an aberration in California. The only other place that we would see this kind of vehement dislike and disdain for our governor is up in Jefferson, whatever that is. What is the state of Jefferson, the county of Jefferson, whatever, up there at the north end, and then Orange County. They talk about San Bernardino, Riverside out in that area, but I don't know very much about their conservative factions out there. But Orange County and way up north is the only way you really find these types of old conservative viewpoints that we get confronted with on a regular basis here.
The 503, the 51st state, the state of Jefferson.
Where does that actually start? Do you know?
Yeah, it starts in El Dorado County and wraps its way around the top of Sacramento County, all the way up into takes in Butte, Lassen County, Nevada County, all the way over to Humboldt County, the whole top of the state. Hold on.
So the Sierra Nevada's up against Nevada. Yeah, another one. We went to go see my nephew who's in South Oregon a couple of years ago. Just driving up there, there's this big ass barn that's got on the top of the barn, so you can see right off the freeway. State of Jefferson. So that was cute. I don't remember exactly where that is. Hey, where is that?
You read that?
I see it. Where is that barn at that's got the state of Jefferson up on top of it?
Oh, I don't know.
You've never paid attention on the 5? There's a big ass barn. I don't remember exactly where it is.
Oh yeah. Actually, yeah. I thought you were talking about over Lassen, that area over there.
No.
No, it's in Colusa County, I think. One of those counties on the 5 going up north. I think it's Colusa. I'm not sure though.
Yeah, I don't remember either. I just know it was up there. It was cute when I saw it. I should have took a picture of it, but oh well.
The Great Seal, state of Jefferson.
Where'd you get that from?
Going to visit your nephew up there in Shasta County by Shasta Lake.
That's a beautiful area. Beautiful area. It'd be too bad if it could become the state of Jefferson. But anyway, what else is going on in your mind? I'm out of it today.
Well, just the fact that I'm trying to rationalize the understanding that like you said earlier, you respect the office, but you have to respect the office, but not the man. It's kind of hard for me to separate them, especially when these people have shown, in Donald Trump and his brethren and reverends have shown that they don't care about human life, illegal activities, beating, scamming, doing all these kind of things. You said earlier that when was the last time the Republican Party actually won the popular vote? How many years ago was that?
George Bush Jr.'s second term.
Right. So that was 8 years of Obama, 4 years of Trump.
Yeah, because he did not win his first term. He did not win the popular vote then. He won it the second time when he ran, whatever year that was, 2004. 2000, he did not win the popular vote. He did in 2004. And then prior to him, it was Reagan.
Did Reagan win the popular vote?
Oh yeah, Reagan beat that.
Well, so my point is that they've been
out of Mondale. Was it Mondale?
My point.
My first election. First time I voted, 1984. He beat the dog stuffing out of whoever it was he's running against. He won on 48 or 49 of the 50 states.
So my point in the whole conversation is that they've been cheating for a long time. Because once again, in my estimation and my understanding and how it goes and how it should go, is that a fair, balanced election, the whoever gets the most votes would should win. Now, if they ain't got the most votes in what 12 years, is it 12, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years, then they've been cheating the whole time to win. They've set the rules, like I say, they're experts at coming up with rules, and once you figure out how to beat them at the rules, then they change the rules on you right in the middle of the game.
But the rule that they've been able to manipulate is the electoral college. So that's what I'm saying. That's one of the things that I think the Democratic Party needs to do is they need to totally get rid of the electoral college. The electoral college is the bedstone of why people's one person's vote does not count equally. You do know that there are 20. I'm gonna mess the number up, so I'm not gonna give you the number because I don't remember. But there is a small number of senators right now that represents most of the country. So the two senators that are in Montana have the same amount of clout and power as the two senators in California. Although Montana only has whatever it is, 400,000 people, whatever, 500,000 people, whatever it is, and California has 36 million people. So they have the same amount of power in their legislative duties. And so I think one of the things that needs to happen, and it's not going to happen in the next 4 years, is we got to look at our system and our structure. Our structure, we've outgrown it. Remember when our Constitution was put in place with those 13, not amendments, but the bylaws, whatever the hell it was, the first 13
Articles of Confederation.
There you go. Although the Articles of Confederation was before the Constitution. But anyway, remember at that particular time, we didn't count. Women didn't count. It was based off of white property owners. So if you were a white man and you didn't own property, you didn't count. And so our system has been flawed from the beginning. And now that our ethnic populations, our female population, our LGBT population is growing and becoming more active, it's time for us to take a look at our Constitution and continually look at some additional amendments, looking at some more, maybe it's time to rewrite the Constitution. Have a constitutional convention to be able to write some things. The only scary part about that is, as you said, is that the conservatives, the Republicans, are very, very, very adept at manipulating and getting things the way that they get it done the way they want to have it done. So there's no guarantees that a constitutional conference would be able to solve all those woes or those questions that we have. But the electoral college needs to be dissolved, needs to be eradicated.
Okay.
Because that's the reason why people who don't win the popular vote, who do not have is not the highest vote getter, that's how they're able to become the president. It's not because of the Republicans, it's not because of the Democrats, it's because of that damn that rule or law or whatever the hell it is.
The way it was set up way back then and way back when was to even it out against the population of the people who are in play. When you were saying that we weren't able to vote, they took into consideration of how many representatives per person or per people, and that's why they came up with the 3/5 compromise
Correct.
and the senators, the House and the Senate.
Correct.
So if it worked back then, it's not. You keep disappearing when you swigging. When it's so if it was fair and equitable then, why is it not fair and equitable now when you have the same situation?
It wasn't fair and equitable then. That's what I'm saying. Our rules from the start was jacked up. The House and Senate, by the way, was the House of Representatives. The Senate precedes the 3/5 compromise. But our rules, our Constitution, and our rules here that govern us in America have never been fair. It has never been 100% inclusive. And so now I think that's where the whole turmoil comes by, is that African Americans, Latinos, our Southeast Asian population, our Middle Eastern population, all of these ethnic groups that are growing in size and in spirit and in influence want to be included into what goes on. Our women, our LGBT, our rural people who are not living in our urban metropolitan areas, they all want to be included in the game. But unfortunately, our rules, the original set of rules, did not include them. That's where all the amendments come in. Well, not shouldn't say all, but that's where a lot of the amendments come in. Is trying to get these groups, these individuals who are basically wanting to be included. You change this particular aspect of the Constitution, you put them in. We got what, 28 amendments now? 20-something amendments? So that's 20. There's over 20-something changes that have been made to our Constitution, and for the most part, most of them have been to include a particular population, a particular area of our citizenry that wasn't included in our original Constitution. So at some point in time, I would think in the next 20 or 30 years, there's going to be that conversation. Maybe even not that long. Maybe 10 years. There's going to be that constitution, that conversation about our Constitution. It's time to make sure that our Constitution of the United States is inclusive, not because of the amendments, but it's inclusive. Here's one of the things. Do you know that we do not have a guarantee in our Constitution? We do not have a guaranteed right to vote.
You don't have a guaranteed right to be in the standing army either, as an African American person.
Well, I don't know about that, but I do know that you do not have a right. You do not have via the Constitution. You do not have the right to vote.
Well, they
do have the right to carry arms, and there's some own property, and there's some other rights that are in there, but you do not have a constitutionally bound right to vote in America.
Well, didn't that change with an amendment?
Nope, not the vote. Nope. So that's what I mean. There's another immediate area that needs to be included into our Constitution, that you, as an American citizen, whether you're black, white, green, 18 or 118, whatever that, you have the right by Constitution to vote. I think that's one of the things that needs to happen, and that, I think, will go a long way in changing some of the other things we talked about, the Electoral College and one person, one vote, making sure that whoever gets the most votes win. I think that's all grounded in us as Americans having the constitutional right to vote. And so,
how come you don't have?
You look in the Constitution, you look at the amendments. There is no Constitution, there is no article of the Constitution, and there is no amendment that guarantees us, American citizens, the right to vote. It talks about voting and how the vote is used, but there is no Constitution, there is no article or an amendment that specifically gives American citizens the right to vote.
Okay.
The Second Amendment gives you the right to own arms. I don't even know what the other amendments are.
Well, here it says, according to the United States Constitution, voting is a right and a privilege.
It's a privilege. It's not a right.
It says a right and a privilege.
Okay. So privileges can be taken away. Privileges can be taken away by statute. Rights can only be taken away by law. I guess that's the same word. That's the wrong word. You can take the privileges away from your child. Okay, but you cannot the right of liberty, the right of living. You cannot take that right of living away from your child.
So
That's a crime.
the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution grants full citizens' rights, including voting rights, and all men born or naturalized in the United States. The 15th Amendment to the United States Constitution eliminates racial barriers to vote. However, many of the states can conclude participating voter discrimination or continue to participate in voter discrimination. So you do have the right to vote.
You do not have the right to vote specifically.
Okay.
So just like you know how you enlightened me about the end of slavery, and that slavery has never been abolished in the United States. Slavery has never been abolished.
Okay. Yeah, you're not saying that correctly.
Okay. Slavery has not been eliminated.
Okay. If you're a convicted felon, yes, you can be bartered out by the state for your resources, so they could take that and put you in there. But according to what this says, every human being has the right to vote, and they can take that right away from you.
You can't take rights away from people. You can only take privileges away from people.
Okay. That's like what we were saying about defund the police and the two misunderstandings about that. I get you. I hear you. I hear what your understanding is fully. I hear you.
So the perfect example is that we've been taught in school, miseducated in school, to make certain assumptions about things.
Right.
Okay. Slavery is one. Voting is one. Difference between rights and privileges is another. Everybody believes that you have the right to be able to drive. No, you don't have the right to be able to drive. That's a privilege that can be taken away from you. So our educational system has a lot of the baggage, the burden of the miseducation that's going on, because, and here's one of the other things, and I think this is a testament to it also, is that there's only 8 or 9 states that requires a person to take civics before they graduate. And civics is the education of our political system, our constitution and our laws and House of Representatives and Senators. There's only 8 or 9 states that requires that you have any type of education in civics before you graduate. If you remember when we was in middle school, you couldn't get out the 8th grade unless you passed the Constitution. That crazy ass test. When we was in high school, in our U.S. history class, 11th grade, there was another exam that was part of that that you had to get through to show mastery to move on. We've gotten away from that, and I don't think it's I don't think it was done by accident. I think it was done intentionally and purposefully by powers that be, because an uneducated populace is easy to persuade, easy to lead.
Yeah, but that even furthers my stance on what you're saying about the miseducation of, but in the opposite direction. If I can get, I'm gonna get in trouble for this, but for me, it's the same as Christianity. You know, I'm not a Christian. I don't believe in that Christian mumbo jumbo. I think it's a miseducation. But the fact of the matter is, because the populace believes in it, then we still worship Christmas trees. We still do all of these things that I don't agree with, because I don't believe that way. So it's what the populace the popular people in the country believe is how we're going to go. That's why Trump is still in office. That's why he was impeached but not removed. That's why, everybody has a right to vote. And as it stands right now, man-made laws state that you could take people's rights away.
Okay, so in the state of Georgia, when those 100 million people, 100,000 people got taken off the voting rolls in Georgia, what happened to their right to vote?
It was taken away. It was temporarily taken away because what they then have to do, and the way our system is set up, you have to go to court and prove that the people who took your vote away disenfranchised you and took something from you, took away one of your liberties or one of your rights, and then those folks can be punished. But until then, they can do what they want to do until you prove them wrong.
So if the state of California wanted to take your ability to own a firearm away, what does the state of California have to do? Can they just take it and then you have to go to court to get it back?
Yes. If the majority of people allowed that to happen, yes, they could take your rights to do that away. Yes.
That's not how it works. That's
exactly how it works.
Because of the Second Amendment, if the state of California wants to take your right away to own a firearm, the state of California has to go to court to prove their case.
Okay. So what happens to you in the meantime?
In voting, that's not the case. In voting, they can take your ability to vote away, and then you, the person who's had your abilities taken away from you, you have to go to court to fight to get them back. That's what I mean about the difference with a right. There are certain things that our governments, our state governments, our federal governments cannot do without going to court first to be able to have that action granted. Voting is not one of them.
Okay, I disagree.
Okay. So I just think that
that's why we have a court system. And it goes up and up and up to the Supreme Court, and then the Supreme Court is the ultimate law of the land. So if you are skilled enough to present an argument that you can win all the way through, up to and through the Supreme Court, and set a precedent, then that's your precedent that will be set. That's what's going on with Roe v. Wade. Is it against the law for a woman to do X, Y, and Z with her own body? Well, let's go to court and figure it out. Find out. Does she have the right to do this, or does she not have the right? Does the state have the right to do this? That's what the courts are for.
The Supreme Court has already said that the Constitution does not guarantee a person's right to vote. I wish I could think of what the case is. I think it's the Heller case that they keep referring to, but the Supreme Court
so that even furthers my argument. The 14th Amendment says that everybody that is a U.S. citizen has the right to vote. So some group of people have moved into an area where they've been able to take it, as what you're saying, maybe according to the Heller ruling in the Supreme Court level, that they could take away your right, or they cannot take away your right. But that right has been challenged, has been taken away and been challenged.
I'm not sure you hear what you're saying, but that's cool. I just know that the voting.
What does the 14th Amendment say? What does the 14th Amendment say?
I don't know. I don't know it. I cannot read it to you by verse. I don't have it recited. Okay. What I can tell you is that the Supreme Court. I got you. You did. But what I can tell you is that
according to what I read to you, every United States citizen has the right to vote. Then the courts can take it away from you. The courts can take your rights away from you. You have a right in the United States to pursue happiness, to pursue property. But if you commit a felony offense, your rights of freedom can be taken away from you, and you will be locked up. You have a right to move around freely in the United States. You go out there and murder somebody, the government will take your right away of to be free, and will give you a sentence. Until you finish that sentence, they take your right away.
I'm giving you the wrong name too. It's not Heller. Heller has to do with handguns. I have to do some research to find out what that case is. But the Supreme Court has already came out with a decision that says that we do not have a right to vote. We do not have a right to vote as governed, as granted by the Constitution of the United States. Okay, I understand what you're saying about the 14th Amendment, but I also know what I have been taught about the amendment that abolished slavery, and I didn't get full understanding of that until within the last 5 years. So I'm gonna do my research, and I'll find out what that U.S. Supreme Court case is, and have it to talk about at one of our next shows. Anyway, like I said, I'm burned out, man. I'm ready for this holiday season to get over and get through it. Come on, 2021, so we can move faster. I'm hoping
faster, the quickening. What are you doing for New Year's?
Probably be on a drive somewhere.
Okay, you're not staying at home. You're gonna be a little super spreader.
No, I ain't gonna be no super spreader. I can go driving without interacting with folks. Put me some food in an ice chest, and just drive. I won't need no gas. So anyway, I'm done, dude. Everybody, please make sure that that you're staying safe. COVID is real. Have a very Merry Christmas. Do something different. You utilize Zoom, utilize FaceTime, utilize some other type of technologies so that you can still reach out to your loved ones. You don't have to be. You have to be. I'm suggesting you be by yourself, but you don't have to be necessarily alone. Also, do the same thing with New Year's. Look forward to everybody. Actually, I take that back. We got another show.
Yeah, we do.
In there between. So anyway, so we'll pick it up then.
Okay.
What's your parting words?
My parting words are that you have to do your research, that you have to understand from a platform first of how things started and where they're going and how they benefit the people in the mean in between time. So then you can argue a space and a place against the norms and the ways of society. If not, then you'll be, as I think it's Carter G. Woodson said, you'll be miseducated. And I could feed you anything and you'll believe in it if I educate you. That's why Malcolm X said, only a fool would send his children to be educated by his enemy. So they're going to miseducate you and send you back home with a misunderstanding. So do some reading, do some research, understand what you're reading, understand what your research tells you. Chop it up with people. Don't be afraid to expand your mind and to understand. And the only laws are the laws of nature. Everything else is man-made. Love and hair grease.
We'll see you next Wednesday. Peace.